Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Here is today's severe thunderstorm outlook for today, for the next couple of days, and really going on for the next 7 or 8 days if there's any significant risk in that period. There is a little. Today, we have a kind of a stretched out area of level 2, which is the slight risk. It's 2 out of 5 on the categories issued from the Storm Prediction Center, and it runs from Oklahoma through Arkansas all the way to the coastal areas of the Carolinas. There is also kind of a monsoonal thunderstorm pattern now setting up in the southwest, with some severe thunderstorms possible in southern Arizona as well. So this is a categorical forecast, just means that this is a coverage forecast, doesn't actually attempt to specify which types of severe weather we're talking about, but the SPC, Storm Prediction Center, does do that. And for today, Saturday, and this is the late morning update, so there is a 2% chance of a tornado southern Illinois, extreme southeast of parts of Missouri, on over into parts of Kentucky, and a very small sliver of Tennessee as well. So that's a 2% chance of any strength tornado within 25 miles of any place you pick. On the wind side of things, this kind of elongated area of wind risk is actually kind of defining the slight risk area. And there is a little bit of a concern that the winds might be a little more describable in terms of intensity out around Oklahoma City up to Enid and those areas, Stillwater. And you're talking about a high probability, about an 86% chance that a severe wind gust will reach close to 74 miles per hour. In fact, even a lower risk than that, but just over a 50-50 chance it'll stay below 63 miles per hour. So that's how they interpret that. So the most dangerous place is the intersection of the highest probability with the category of intensity. So that's where the yellow and the black intersect. The rest of this could have a severe wind gust at some point in the thunderstorm probability, 15% chance. And all that means is you have to have a 59 mile per hour wind gust. Notice the bottom of the scale here is 59. And then you'll look here on NATOcast. They put that tornado risk at 2% there, not covering the Missouri part of the SPC forecast, but going in the same basic area as the rest of it. And then a little nodule right there on the Kentucky and Virginia border. And NATO's not really mentioned much today on CSU's learning machine model. The wind threat is the biggest one. They highlight continuously, and have been, the Carolinas as seeing that risk, whereas the Storm Prediction Center is focusing on Oklahoma more. And the split has continued here for the last couple of days, so it'll be interesting to see what the severe weather reports out in the Carolinas are for today. On Sunday, that same area is under the gun, so we have a level 2 out there. Mostly all of South Carolina and a little bit of Georgia. Still some monsoonal thunderstorms there from Phoenix to the Mexican border. And interestingly, there's this marginal risk up here in the UP of Michigan and northern Wisconsin. Amazingly, though, that is it's all there because I think of a tornado risk, really. There's a 2% chance, and the graph isn't on there, but that's 2% chance of a tornado in this area here of northern Michigan and down to Wisconsin. So Rhinelander, Wausau, on over to Iron Mountain, Escanaba, Marquette, Houghton, all in that area. The wind risk is highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center down in South Carolina at a 15% chance, but nothing beyond that in terms of intensity estimates. CSU is a no-show on tornadoes, still emphasizes that exact same area as today for a wind risk at 30% probability, and hail is pretty much a no-show. On Monday, things settle down, but it's the same general area, just expanded into more of Georgia and into northern Florida, but it's only basically a marginal risk of severe weather out there. Wouldn't be surprised if they find focus on that and put a slight risk in the middle of that somewhere, either tomorrow or the Monday morning forecast. On Monday, not much mention of any severe weather really in the country. Interesting little blurb of tornado activity there in southeast Canada, and that's it. Then we skip ahead to Tuesday, and the Storm Prediction Center does have a 15% chance of any type of severe weather from Saranac Lake, northern parts of New York, by basically cutting New Hampshire and Vermont in half, north part, and almost all of Maine. And so the severe weather probabilities from CSU basically mirror that forecast, because here it is right here. They look almost identical, and with good measure on that. Then we skip to Friday, and the Storm Prediction Center has actually pulled the trigger. And this is unusual to put a 15% risk of severe weather out, first of all, this many days out, which is 6, but also in the middle of summer. summer is a lot more defined by mesoscale features. So when you see a severe weather risk that goes out this far into the future, I would pay more attention to this if you're in the corridor there from Philadelphia down to Baltimore, Washington, and Richmond and those areas, Raleigh vacationers from Atlantic City down to the point there. Should be on the lookout for this risk on Friday, even though it could move around and shift a little bit. I think it's there. And it really is because there's a pretty good defined jet stream diving out of the northwest in that area and ample moisture and no doubt instability. And so Fridays, this is interesting because the Storm Prediction Center has issued that forecast that almost always is accompanied by some sort of 15% risk on the CSU outlook for things, and that's non-existent here. But again, 6 days out, a lot of room for variation. First 7 days on the supercell composite, it kind of stretches from Minnesota through Illinois. Interestingly, I'm trying to figure out what that is in association with over the next 7 days. I don't see anything, but there could be something. And then this is the risk I showed you for the couple of days this weekend and maybe next week. So that's week 1. That's the 11th through the 17th, the 17th or the 18th through the 24th. Kind of a subdued pattern, although we still have a lot of that coastal activity there from the nation's capital on down to South Carolina, and not a real high probability, but still showing up in the Corn Belt for week 2. And then the final 7 days of July, we see a real uptick in the percentage, getting up to that 30% limit on there, 30% chance of a supercell in a broad area from Cheyenne, Wyoming, down through northern Missouri, on over into Kentucky, and also a real highlight there around the Carolinas as well.